A grim warning for mortgage holders. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at an article about the IMF apparently trying to influence the Reserve Bank of Australia. That doesn't feel right, does it? It's not kind of the thing we want going on, but that's the world we live in. We have a look here. This is a poll I put up a week ago asking the financial gigachads that watch the channel if the RBA will raise the cash rate target in November. 78% of you of the 2,000 who voted said yes, and 22% said no. So we'll have to see. But if we look at this article here, so a grim warning for, hang on, I'll zoom in. A grim warning for Aussie homeowners, guys. The Reserve Bank has been urged to lift interest rates and governments warned to pull back on infrastructure projects to reduce inflation. Okay, now, why should a foreign body, even the International Monetary Fund, feel like they have the mandate or the right or even the ability to say this? I would argue it should be no different to any other lobbying group. The RBA needs to make a completely independent decision, even free of government involvement. And they're not going to cut back on infrastructure spending. So, in its annual economic health check, the IMF concluded Australia's economy was resilient, but sticky inflation was a cause for concern. Although inflation is gradually declining, it remains significantly above the RBA's target, and output remains above potential, it said. Well, the RBA hasn't really been on target for how long? How long have they actually managed to keep inflation in the target range? So the question is the RBA actually having the impact that they want, or is it just, well, they're confusing causation with correlation? Staff therefore recommend further monetary policy tightening to ensure that inflation comes back to the target range by 2025 and minimize the risk of de-anchoring inflation expectations. The Central Bank Board will meet next Tuesday to consider increasing the cash rate, or the cash rate target. Economists have tipped the board will lift the rate to 4.35% in the wake of firmer than expected inflation data. Annual headline inflation fell to 5.4% in September, down from 6% in June. But quarterly inflation accelerated 1.2% in the 3-month period. The IMF gave a tick of approval to the government's decision to bank the extra tax revenue from high commodity prices that helped deliver the first budget surplus in 15 years. Yeah, see, it's all luck. It's all just luck. But it said both state and federal governments should wind back infrastructure projects in order to stop mortgage holders being burdened in the inflation fight. Well, they can't stop their infrastructure projects. They've got all their crazy net zero strategies that they want to implement. Look at Snowy 2. Look at the complete and utter disaster and shit show that's turned into. Awesome. The Commonwealth Government and state and territory governments should implement public investment projects at a more measured and coordinated pace, given supply constraints, to alleviate inflationary pressures and support the RBA's disinflation efforts, the fund said. Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, but we're dealing with government here. Making sense and government, I don't know if those are allowed to be in the same sentence. I think it might be hate speech or illegal. So, otherwise, interest rates would have to be even higher, putting the burden of adjustment disproportionately on mortgage holders. I think most Aussies don't care. They'll just want their handouts. The federal government is reviewing its major infrastructure projects. Treasurer Jim Chalmers said the report was a glowing endorsement of the government's handling of the economy. Sure it is, mate. Sure it is. The IMF makes it abundantly clear that our cost of living plan and our responsible economic management is helping rather than hampering the fight against inflation, he told reporters on Wednesday. Maybe there's more to what they said than the article here is quoting, because it doesn't feel like they're endorsing his handling of the economy. I mean, an economy is a emergent outcome of a multitude of variables, which half the time, it seems, we only get data from months after events have occurred. And that's what the economists and the government are using to make their strategies and decisions. I know everyone doesn't like the the ABS unemployment rate, and Roy Morgan's probably usually double. Which one's a bit more accurate? Doesn't matter. What's the government going to use to make policy? The ABS. So that's reality as far as they're concerned. And how long does it take for information to flow through? So the fact that they think they're managing the economy, they're just along for the ride. We all know that, don't we? Come on. Because cost of living isn't going down. Petrol isn't getting cheaper. Food's still getting more expensive. I'm sure that significant increase in immigration that they're encouraged, address the backlog left by the previous bad government. But now when these guys are doing it, they're the good guys. And I'm sure spending a year prattling on about a voice that no one wanted. Yeah. I mean, it just shows you how removed from the day-to-day a lot of these people are. They probably have so much accumulated wealth, and they've got complete security in their employment. Their employees, all of the civil servants, they're never going to have to, wait or risk on someone not paying them or send out invoices and wait for it to come in. They're not small business people. They can't fathom the challenges of a lot of Australians because they're removed from it. Some of them have never even done it in their entire life. These career politicians. So I think if we have quotas, we need to have quotas on lived experience in Parliament. I think we've got too many lawyers, too many unionists, too many teachers that have never run private enterprise. The government is doing exactly what we need to do to take the edge off these inflationary pressures, to invest in people in the energy transition. These are the major projects that they're poo-pooing you about, mate. The energy transition. Bloody hell. Housing. At the same time as we get the budget in much better nick. You got lucky, mate. You got lucky because of natural resource prices. So you got more taxes or more royalties, which have got nothing to do from you. Nothing at all. I mean, do people really believe this? Do they believe the bullshit that all you want is you pick a side which is going to cause you less pain. They're both going to be painful and a burden on you. That's government. Do people believe it? He declined when asked to weigh in on whether the bank should lift rates next week. I don't preempt decisions taken independently by the Reserve Bank. So, let's have a bit of a chat about this one, eh, guys? Well, I've heard on the grapevine rates aren't going up next week. We'll have to see. That's what I've heard. So, what do you reckon, guys? Do you think they'll lift rates? Do you think Labor have done a fantastic job managing the economy? Or is it just dumb luck? And should the IMF even be making public statements like this? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.